Good morning, folks, and thanks for joining us on Inside the Valley. Well, today we have a special guest. We have the fire marshal, or assistant fire marshal from the Edinburg Fire Department, Sergio Diaz. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Well, thank you for having me here today. Good morning and Happy New Year.
Exactly, Happy New Year's Eve.
Yes.
So I know festivities are going to get going and started this evening, and I know it's supposed to get a little chilly also. So there's a lot of, safety things we want to touch on for tonight.
Yes, well, first of all, the cold weather. I know some of us, some people out there don't have air conditioner units, heater, and they'll improvise. So some people keep their stove on, whether it's a gas stove, or they use heaters. Just be careful with those, not to place them too close to something that can burn. It's combustibles, whether it's curtains, a sofa, anything that's wooden or clothes, at least 3 feet away from anything that can burn.
I know, and those can be pretty dangerous, especially if they're plugging them into the power strips. I know that's usually not something that people recommend either, just to plug them into the wall, I think.
Yeah, or extension cords. Some people get real creative with extension cords. They should go straight in the wall or into a power strip, not into a 20, 30-foot extension cord. It's a temporary use only, not to be for weeks at a time.
Right, and I know you all respond to, I'm sure, dozens and hundreds of fires throughout the year, but do you see kind of an increase at this year?
Well, it's people turn on the heaters for the first time this time of year when the cold fronts come in, and some of the motors on the air conditioner units go bad, or they smell smoke in the house. We go investigate, find out what the problem is.
And those are pretty devastating as well. I mean, I can imagine that in situations like that, the homes become a total loss.
Yeah, the fire gets out of control. Another thing is to touch on smoke detectors. So if something does happen 3 or 4 in the morning, you're asleep, you need something to wake you up. Does your smoke detector work? When's the last time you checked it? Have you changed the batteries? So, and if you have one that's more than 10 years old, we recommend you replace it with a new one.
And how often should people be replacing their batteries in their devices?
Usually we tell people twice a year. You change the time on your clock. Twice a year, like 6 months, change the batteries. Even though you might have a hardwired smoke detector, you have backup batteries in case the power goes out. They're still going to be detecting with the battery.
Most definitely. And I know fire extinguishers, I know typically you should always have them on hand. I know some people typically don't. I know in apartments they tend to already give them to you, but in homes, is that something they also should need?
Yes, get a fire extinguisher for close to the kitchen or in the garage. Have one nearby that's working. And usually commercial, the ones in businesses, you have to check them once a year by a licensed company, but at home, as long as you keep on shaking it, some have a button. When you press the button, it's supposed to pop back up. That means there's still pressure in it.
Okay. Wow, so it's easy to tell.
Yeah.
Now, with situations like that with the fire extinguisher, and say there is a fire that breaks out, could that, be determining whether it's, of total loss or,
Well, it all depends on what was the fire, what caused the fire, and it's still get fuel for the fire. Say you have a cooking fire and it's just starting, you can put it out real quick. But if you were distracted, maybe you were in another room and the fire got out of control, maybe that fire extinguisher is not big enough to put it out. It's better to get everybody out, call the fire department, call 911.
Right, and just a quick safety tips if there is a fire that does break out in your home. What are some things that people can do if they're inside and they start to notice some smoke and they hear their detectors going off?
Well, there's no time to hesitate. Get everybody out. Tell everybody to get out. Especially you got good working smoke detectors. They're gonna let you know when the fire's real small that the fire's growing. It's time to get out. And if you don't have them, make sure you get some. Especially cooking fires or heating again. If you're heating the house with a gas, better get a carbon monoxide detector also, because it's a silent. You can't smell it, you can't see it, and people have asphyxiated. They die with the carbon monoxide buildup in the house.
Wow.
Just keep a window open or get a carbon monoxide detector. That way you get fresh oxygen in the house all the time.
Right. And I know those cooking fires, people tend to, I know it's an exciting time, it's the holidays, people want to be with their family and there's lots of people in the kitchen.
Yes.
But they can get out of hand.
Yeah, so the one we've had recently is someone forgot they were cooking or they left.
Oh,
they left the pot on the fire and it started a small fire.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So just try to keep everything as far as anything that has to do with like hot oil and, I know a lot of people do the turkeys during Thanksgiving. They like to fry the turkeys and
deep fry it.
Yeah.
Yes. Be very careful with those. I know they have to thaw it out and be very careful and follow all the instructions on your appliances or where you're cooking it.
Yeah. Well, tonight is an exciting time. It's the new
Yes.
year and everybody's excited and they want to, light their fireworks and have a good time, but you have to be very careful.
Be very careful. There's a lot of fireworks stands. They've been open for a while now. 2 weeks before New Year's Day, people have been already popping fireworks. So some people they're happy they made it through this year, and they get very excited and they want to go out with a bang. And they so some people buy a couple of boxes. Some people buy, I guess, a carload. I guess it depends on the family,
Right.
how excited they are. But I just tell people to be conscious of your neighbors. Some people, they celebrate early, they go to sleep, and now you have someone next door that's popping fireworks till 12 midnight. Just be conscious of that, and be careful with letting the kids pop the fireworks. Make sure you're supervising them. Your parent, an older brother, older sibling, be there. Make sure you have a bucket of water, garden hose nearby, because someone's close could catch on fire. Someone's could burn with some of these fireworks. Gotta be very careful with them.
Definitely. And so is there things that they should keep on hand? Should they be kept away for a certain amount of feet, or how does that?
Yes, especially, well, we're hoping that on the fire department side, right, that it might be a little bit drizzling or a little bit wet, keep the grass wet, keep the trees wet, top of the houses. But we've had situations where fireworks land on top of a house with wooden shingles, or someone's fence and burns the fence down, or a yard that's been overgrown grass and the fire just spreads and catches a house on fire. So where is your fireworks landing? Is it going to catch anything on fire? Be very careful and conscious of that.
Right. And should they keep like a bucket of water handy, maybe a fire extinguisher as well, just in case, what could happen?
Yeah, well, we need to douse it, so we need water or a water hose. I'll say fire hose, right? Water hose that you can actually put a lot of water and cool that fire out real quick. Because sometimes the powder on the fire extinguishers might not do the job, and it runs out real quick. But if you have a couple of buckets or a garden hose, that's even better.
Of course. And so I'm sure you are wishing everybody a great, New Year's. And of course you want them
Yes.
to have fun, but just do it in a safe manner.
Yes, and I know that we've had situations in the past where kids weren't supervised. It was too cold outside. They decided to pop the fireworks inside the house.
Oh my goodness, yikes.
Where it was warmer, but then you can't do that. You
Yeah.
should never pop fireworks inside the house.
Just got to be careful. Have
Yes.
fun, but carefully.
Yes.
All right, sir. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great New Year's Eve, and I hope you have a great New Year's Day. Thank you again.
And I hope everybody stays safe out there.
Yes, exactly. That's the number one important. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All right.
All right, folks. Well, when we come back, we have the Food Bank of the Rio Grande Valley, and they're going to be talking about how much they've helped the people right here in the valley.